Russia's foreign minister has told Israel that if it has evidence Iran has broken the 2015 nuclear deal, it must pass it on to the International Atomic Energy Agency. Sergey Lavrov's comments come after Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu claimed that Tehran repeatedly misled the international community over its uranium enrichment program.
Such documents should be immediately passed on to the International Atomic Energy Agency. But according to the comments from experts taking part in the negotiations, it's very likely that such documents refer to previous activity, which has already been taken into account by the international agency's inspection. If the US will announce its exit from the Iran deal, the international community will, of course, lose one of the most important instruments promoting the nuclear non-proliferation regime.
During a dramatic presentation on Monday, Prime Minister Netanyahu claimed Iran lied about never having had a nuclear weapons program. He also alleged it had continued weapons research after the 2015 deal was struck and that it tried to hide all of the files relating to its work. Netanyahu revealed 55,000 pages of documents apparently seized from Iran in a heist by Israeli intelligence, which he said was proof of Tehran's dishonesty.
We can now prove that Project Ahmad was a comprehensive program to design, build, and test nuclear weapons. We can also prove that Iran is secretly storing Project Ahmad material to use at a time of its choice to develop nuclear weapons.
We remain deeply concerned about Iran's dangerous escalation of threats to Israel and the region, and Iran's ambition to dominate the Middle East remains. The United States is with Israel in this fight, and we strongly support Israel's sovereign right to defend itself.
European leaders urged Israel to submit all of the data to the UN's nuclear watchdog, but along with the IAEA itself, suggested there was nothing new in the presentation and that there's no credible evidence Iran has broken the agreement. The pact with Iran was struck in 2015. It was brokered by the US, China, Britain, Russia, France and Germany and hailed as a huge diplomatic success. In exchange for some sanctions being lifted, Tehran agreed to strict limits on its nuclear program and to open up its facilities to international experts. It's currently in jeopardy as the US president, who's been a vocal critic, is deciding whether to walk away. Many saw Benjamin Netanyahu's presentation as an attempt to encourage Donald Trump to abandon the deal. Let's get some reaction and bring in now Chris Nynham to the programme, founder, member and national officer of the Stop the War Coalition in the UK. Chris, you're very welcome. Can I put this point to you, just as we're explaining what happened there moments ago, if the IAEA already knew about Iran's plans, what was the point of Israel's presentation therefore?
Well, it does look as if, according at least to some spokespeople from the IAEA and from the EU actually, that this information was in fact information that was already available and had been seen by people involved in the negotiations with Iran. So the only conclusion you can draw from that is that this was likely a part of an operation to try and bounce the US, to try and give credibility to Donald Trump's efforts, his apparent plan to walk away from the treaty with Iran. So it seems a reasonable assumption to make that that is actually what was behind this effort by Benjamin Netanyahu.
In a statement today, Iran said it isn't going to make any changes to the nuclear pact. Do you think that's in any way likely to influence Donald Trump as his May 12 deadline gets closer?
Yes, I think it may do, and I think, you know, it's a very, very dangerous situation that's developing. I mean, if Trump makes that decision, then we are in a completely new scenario in the Middle East, because there's a clearly growing tension between, on the one hand, the Saudi, Israel, US axis, on the other hand, Iran, Hezbollah, Assad, and with their Russian supporters. So, you know, this would be a big a big step backwards in terms of the sort of the state of affairs in the Middle East, and it would be a step further towards what is in danger of becoming a regional war in the area. So the stakes really are very, very high here, and you know, it's one of the few. The deal with Iran was one of the few successes of foreign policy in the region. It was one of the things that has actually served to kind of create at least the hope that some of the problems in the region could be resolved. If that's broken, we're in very, very dangerous territory.
Well, just fleshing that out from Tehran's point of view, how do you expect Iran to react if, come May the 12th, just over a week's time, the US pulls out of the nuclear deal?
Well, I mean, I hope they respond with you know, patience and sort of understanding of the situation. But I mean, it seems to me it would be a real provocation to the government in Iran, because they do feel, obviously, they're demonized, and it is a regime that has been put on the list of rogue states. It's a regime that has been vilified by the Western powers, and you know, this would be a real. They've made some concessions. There has been a serious, what appears to be a serious process of negotiation and compromise, and an ending, apparently, to the nuclear program. So, you know, I mean, it will be very hard for them. The temptation for them to react in a way to, you know, get back onto the nuclear program, to make kind of, you know, belligerent noises, I can see is very, very strong.
Chris, thanks so much for your thoughts this hour. Chris Nineham, founder, member and national officer at the Stop the War Coalition in the UK.